said play.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
And I'm Tressa.
I was just thinking we ought to bring back that board photo thing that we were doing.
The calendar that I put together, and you're like, no, thank you.
No. That wasn't us looking bored, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was us,
bring
and
that
the background
back.
was seasonal with that same photo in every month. It was great. And you're like,
we got to do different photos, though. We had a whole
hilarious.
series that we were doing.
Oh, that series.
Yeah.
We do, because it's classic.
Everywhere we went.
But then I was afraid everyone was offended that we weren't enjoying their function. And we very much were. But we're very funny at the same time.
You could tell from the expressions on our faces that we were pleased to be there, obviously. If we made any expression, we were excited to be anywhere.
Especially bored expressions.
Tressa, I'm real excited about the guest tonight.
Me too!
I know. So not only is she just really a cool lady, but we're going to be talking about some pretty close to me kind of subjects, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've, beaten this into you quite enough, but, outside of the ocean, I love being in the woods and I love being outside. And
is that true?
It is accurate.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
And I grew up in an area. I spent a lot of time out in the country. My grandparents lived in the country. I spent a lot of time with them, which is basically the same way, two different ways of saying the same thing. So you're welcome for that.
Thank you.
My literary prowess.
You're really good at it.
I know. So they had a lot of woods. It was a lot of acreage, a lot of woods, a lot of fields, and I'm an only kid. So I spent a lot of time out and about by myself. They also kind of raised me on fairy tales and folklore. Heard a lot of that from my mom and my grandparents. So I would be out in the woods and searching for fairies, looking for fairy rings.
Adorable.
It was pretty adorable. I was absolutely convinced. I'm not completely convinced that I didn't encounter something. I feel like I would have. I always feel things more outside than inside. But I'm thrilled about it because this is,
So did you
stuff
have
that
an
I've learned.
experience that you're questioning, or you just like, I'm a dumb kid. I probably saw something
I
you didn't
probably
know.
saw something.
Okay.
Yeah, just from my experiences as an adult, I feel like if there was something out there, I don't know, there's a magic out there, is really what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
dirt. Gross.
so much dirt. So, listen, our guest tonight, Nikki Folsom. She's an independent author with dreams of using her creativity to inspire others. After 27 unfulfilling years in corporate America, she made the courageous decision to chase her dreams, which is amazing,
So
right?
amazing.
God, I love an author.
That's the dream.
Seriously. So she selected paranormal. So she's got a couple of books out now, Haunted Harlequin and Conflicted Reality. And I know that she's working on more. Her fascination with the unexplained began at a young age, 5, actually. I always love it when people can
Nice.
remember the times or like the ages that they are when they first
Listen,
experience things, because I
it,
don't.
like 6th grade, I'm like, I
Nope.
was 5. I was 6 then.
The entire time I was
Yeah,
just 3 or 5.
yeah, I don't.
Hmm.
It sounds right because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all the same,
Right.
right? I don't know.
I think that was that way until I could drive, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
Same age all the way through.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um, so yeah, she's had a lot of strange experiences, and she began documenting them, writing about them, and please help me welcome Nikki Folsom.
Hi.
Hello, Nikki. How are you on this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with y'all. It's like girls' night. I'm super happy.
Yeah, we're gonna have the most fun, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
That
So
is
make
a
sure to look
threat.
extra bored because that's how we can tell.
I don't know. I'm very excitable, so you'll
Hide it.
try.
Yeah. At all costs.
Okay, I'll try. I'm not good at that.
Oh no, we got a whole show ahead of us. We got a thing we're gonna be doing. I got
Mm.
some editing to do.
I don't frown.
Yeah. Just like paste one over your face.
Yeah. I like this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
This will be good.
Over all of us.
Yeah.
Everybody
I'd like
smile
different
right
hats.
now so I can paste it.
Can you just paste different hats?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
obviously.
That would be great. That would be great. Let's
gotta
get
pick
into it with some fairies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no more of this.
Sorry.
let's talk about some fairies.
Hey, I'm ready.
Yeah, when did you get into this? How did you get into looking into fairies?
That is an excellent question because my first experiences in the paranormal were you read 5. I saw a soldier walk past my bedroom door, and I lived about 20 minutes outside of Gettysburg, so it made a lot of sense why I saw him. But since then, since I was little, and I'll tell you, I've told other people this, and before I knew paranormal investigation and ghost hunting and all this stuff was a thing, well, as you're a kid, you don't know this stuff, right?
Sure.
I would sit in my basement and my dad would mow the grass outside, and the hum of the mower, I would use my recorder and try to talk to people and capture voices. So I swear to God, this was long before you even, well, there's a whole host of things that I'll be able to tell you about in a little bit, but yeah, so that's what it all started. So, seeing apparitions and shadow people and different things throughout my life, that's what got me started on digging into more. And I'm not really sure what started me down the fairy path. I've always been fascinated by fairies, and I always thought there was more than just Tinkerbell. And there sure is.
Is that true? I don't know.
Oh yeah. It's fascinating to me because you start that path and you think, oh, there are all these little tiny winged creatures. They're not. They're absolutely not. In fact, I'll probably blow your mind here in a little bit when I give you some scenarios and you're gonna be like, oh God. Remember I told you, Tressa, how I go down rabbit holes? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely my rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I started looking into the Fae. I've always been fascinated with folklore as well. And I didn't realize when I opened Pandora's box of this, how much was out there. I was like,
Oh, it's too much.
yeah. I was like, oh, there's like 10, 12 mythologies. No. So yeah, it's really fascinating to me.
Oh,
Let's
that is
dig
amazing.
in. Tell me about all those things you didn't want to go into just now. Do it.
That's for the next half hour. We'll talk about that next
Hang on.
Fun.
We have a route
Okay,
that
Jeni,
we've
do your
decided
thing.
on.
Do your thing,
All
and I'll
right.
interject when she's trying to answer, and I'll
Yeah.
do the thing that I do that's annoying. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, several years ago, I started, when I was looking into the Fae, I was like, what would happen if I put, it was in the house I'm in now, so it was in the last 20 years. What would happen if I put some cornstarch out on our little table outside and a little like sweet cream? I wonder if the Fae would come to see it. And I welcomed them to come get some of the sweet cream. And the next morning I went out and there were little footprints. I'm not lying. I swear to God, everybody on here is going to be like, commit her. No, I swear to God. And when you got closer to the sweet cream, it almost looked like someone had laid on their side. So it was something small had laid on its side. So it was really fascinating to me. And I tried to debunk it all different ways. Was it a cat that was just tiptoeing and happened to lay down funny? But that's when I started to really seriously look into this. And the more I looked into it, the more I was like, oh, this is so much bigger than I thought this was going to be.
I love a cat. Like, I'm just going to go on my little beans.
Yeah. Like tiptoeing on in there. Yeah. Tiny beans.
But when I started digging, I'm so sorry, Jeni.
No, you're fine.
Okay. When I started digging into it, I found that in the 13th century, there was only witches and fae. If it was supernatural, it fell into the fae category.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this could get really good. So the more I dug in, the more I discovered things that were very much like things that we call other things, like vampires. Like we have vampires. There's fae vampires. So, or fae bloodsuckers that could be vampires. So it's like, wait a second. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and it's not even a quarter of the way over yet. I know that I've got so much more to learn.
I need to know about fae vampires. What?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like what blows my mind is how much of the fae is actually dark. And it's kind of like our perception of dark, because I don't think that in any way they play by the same sort of moralistic or good versus evil sort of rules. It's just kind of this middle ground of just whatever.
Right.
But like when I read about like the dark hunt, like that one's a big one. Which maybe if you can talk about that a little bit, just to sort of give a glimpse into some of these things that maybe people have heard about.
The wild ride.
Yeah.
The wild ride. There's actually this called the slough, and it's the slushy, and it's very similar. They look like giant birds with claws, and what they do, this is kind of terrifying. They find people that are on their deathbed, and they try to get in an opening, whether it's a door or a window, and they sit by their deathbed so they can take their soul. And yes, rude, yes, but that's very real lore. That's
Listen, that's when you get to leave. That's when it's over and it's fine.
No,
nope. You're gonna make it. No, that's
skipped
not cool.
right on up.
No.
Well, and Jen, you said something that was really interesting, because you said, I don't think they're like humans. They don't, and no, as in the reading and the research that I've done, they're not. And in Scotland, they have the Royal Court. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the Seelie Court, Seelies and the Unseelies. Have you ever heard of that?
No,
I don't think so. The Royal Court sounds familiar.
So they're basically, the Seelies are they're tall, they're bright, they're considered good. However, just because they're considered good doesn't mean they won't do bad things. Like if you upset them or you don't follow through on a commitment,
right,
you'll feel the wrath of them. And opposite of the Seelies are the Unseelies, and they are the dark ones. Tall, shadow-like, dark, red eyes. they have been known to take humans as pets.
Wait. Are
Well, I
we
mean,
talking
Tressa
like
does that too. So
Yeah, obviously. Are we talking
Mm.
like slave pets? Are we talking about a cat that sleeps all day, eats when it
Oh,
wants to,
yeah. It really depends on what kind of pet we're
uses
going
the litter
with.
box? Yeah, because it could go either way.
Could I sign up for that job?
Right.
If it got me treats and maybe just a lot of sleeping,
So much sleeping.
I don't think there's much of that.
Oh.
But here's what I will tell you. The way the Sealy court has been described is very similar to angels. And the way the unseelie court have been described is very much like shadow people, red eyes, tall, dark. So some of them have hats, you know. So it's really, really fascinating to me, the whole thing.
I like that hats as a whole theme tonight. It's great.
I'm a big fan. Listen, that might be something that might be incorporated if I can remember to do it next episode. Is just like, what hat is Jeni going to wear tonight? I've got a collection.
She does.
I do. But anyway, so one of the things that's always so fascinating to me about the fairy realm is that they're different than us in the way that we view things and you know, good versus evil and moralistically, but they all, not all of them, but a lot of them have these very, very strict rules on behavior as far as, you know, offering them things or respecting their area, doing certain things when you go out into the woods at night to abide by everything. And that's kind of across the board, right? With a lot of different cultures and their beliefs on fairies.
Absolutely. It is. I mean, there's some general rules. You never say thank you if they give you an offering or if they give you a gift, because then you're in debt to them.
Really?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I know very little to nothing about fairies. Very little to nothing. So, like, I didn't know that. I know you don't accept food from them. That's it. That's pretty much it. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. They're very neat. They are offended by mess. So there's quite a few things.
Yeah. And you can accept things from like you can accept food, but just maybe don't eat it.
Don't eat their food.
Because it's also kind of offensive to like not accept something that is being offered.
Oh.
Yes. But don't say thank you.
No. Mm-mm.
Just
no.
not.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a people pleaser. I don't know. I would have a hard time. How do I accept something and not thank them, whether I want it or not?
Now, one of those, when you mentioned the story about the sweet cream, one of the things that were you at all concerned that you would set up this precedent of offering them something and then you would just have to continue to do it?
You know, I was very naive at that time. That's what happens. And now I'm like, oh God, what did I do? But I have a very healthy respect for the Fae, because there's creatures that aren't kind doesn't mean they don't have kindness and have the ability to show kindness. So there are some, like you have the nature Fae that are the ones you were in the forest looking for.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's part of that. But I'm trying to think what else. So you don't walk into a fairy circle. If you find a fairy circle, don't walk into it. You can get be away with the fairies. You don't want that. I'm trying to think. Oh, they like honey. They like shortbread, sweet cream. So when I give offerings, I do that. I do have conversations with them. One time, and I know it was the Fae answering me because I was talking to them. I was looking for Christmas decorations, and I was in the living room, and I'm like, where in the heck would I have put those? And all of a sudden, in my head, I heard Halloween. And they are telepathics, and they can communicate that way. So I was like, whole way up the stairs to the closet, I'm complaining to myself. I had to stop myself, Tressa. I'm complaining to myself, and I'm like, Halloween. What am I looking for Halloween for? And I opened up the Halloween tote, and there was what I was looking for.
Oh.
Man, why did you mix it in with the Halloween stuff? You know it's going to get confusing.
Well, and I usually have it's up there. I have a fairy shelf that I have kind of, it's not really an altar, but it's kind of a display for them to say, hey, here's something shiny, because they like shiny things.
Mm-hmm.
So I leave things there for them to play with, or to just to have, so that they don't get mad at me.
And also, they're great, and I want them to have a great time.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I did get yelled at for this. I can't remember. I was at one of the Paracons, and someone said, "What did you do that for?" It was really, really cold here one time with we had the ice storm in Texas. It doesn't cold, but when you get an ice storm, it's bad. And I did go outside and say, if you're cold, you're welcome to come inside, but you have to leave as soon as it gets warm again, because I was worried about the little gnomes who are the most friendly of the Fae. And
right.
I didn't want them to feel like they had to stay out there if they didn't want to.
I mean, if you're cold, they're cold. Bring them in.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Side note, Tressa, I'm going to need you to work on that ad campaign for Fairies.
Will do.
Please.
Done by the end of the week.
Thank you very much. Expect that in the future. Want that on a t-shirt anyway. Bringing it back. All right. So gnomes are, and they're pretty universally friendly in a lot of the different cultures that they're seen in. And they kind of help out a little bit, right?
They do. The gnomes, that they're known to be the helpers. They're earth, but they're known to be the helpers, because I'm trying to remember. It was in the 1600s. Paracelsus created the elements, the earth, water, air, fire, for the Fae. They put the categories for the Fae. So the gnomes fall in the earth category, along with the elves and the brownies and all those folks. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. There's some earth that are not kind of like the goblins. They're not so good. But what's interesting is there's a hobgoblin. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but there's a hobgoblin that's very similar to a brownie. So a brownie is what stays in your house, like Harry Potter, like the little.
Yeah.
There's a movie that I love to watch. It's a kid's movie, Spiderwick Chronicles. And if you watch that is, I love that because it's loosely based on Robert Kirk. And I am so fascinated with him. I want to go to Aberfoyle to do some more research and talk to the local folks about Reverend Robert Kirk. And he's a reverend that went into the fairy realm, and he wrote about it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there's
really
8 notebooks, and I think there's some in the University of Edinburgh and some in the National Museum of Scotland.
Okay.
He didn't disappear at some point, did he?
Yes, he sure did. Well, he didn't disappear. He died, but it's questionable.
Okay. I am so very excited you brought this up, because we're going to talk about it right after this break.
Okay.
Good segue.
Thank you.
Hey, boys and ghouls. Neil here from Graveside Paranormal Ghost Tours. Join us on October 26th in Watseka, Illinois for the Seance at the Roth House, known for the story The Watseka Wonder, the first documented possession in America, or was it a spiritual miracle? In the end, you decide. We're going to be having ghost tours throughout the house every hour on the hour, from 1 p.m. till about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have vendors. We're going to have speakers. Miss Diet Renee will also be out there doing the seance at 7:30 at night. And guess what, girls and boys? We are also going to be filming a documentary. So each and every one of you can be part of this unique experience. So go to gravesideparanormal.com to further details about our event, or on Facebook, and go to Eventbrite at The Seance at the Roth House. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and boo.
Everybody go to that. We'll sign your chest or whatever. But first, okay. We had a guest a while ago. Not even on this actual show, but
there is no show other than this show.
That's correct. However, he did Dead Rabbit Radio. Jason Carpenter did this episode talking about this man, and I was like.
That's right.
I was like, do you remember that? Because I can't stop thinking about it. I'm not talking to you. I was like, Jason, do you remember that? Because I can't stop thinking about that episode. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so he put it to the Discord. He put it to all of his listeners. And they're like, do you have any idea what this episode is? And everyone's like, you're crazy. I don't remember this episode at all. And it was only like 6 months earlier. It wasn't like years before. And no one had any idea what I was talking about. So please, can you give us like the bare bones story of
Yes.
this guy? Because it is wild.
Yes. Reverend Robert Kirk was a reverend in Scotland, and he's the seventh son of a seventh son. And they say that those folks have the second sight, which they can see the other side, right? So because he was a reverend and the time he lived, people weren't exactly thrilled about the ability to talk, or for somebody else having the ability to talk to somebody or fairies or whoever. They weren't okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's witch hunts going on, so you know,
Yeah.
Checks out.
Yeah, right. So what he did was he went around and talked to people that were having experiences, and he documented them. And that's the I thought they were these big old books. No, they're like this big. But he's got lots of great things in them. Eventually, he built a relationship with the Fae, and they allowed him into the fairy realm. So he was able to go through and find out that's where the Asceles and the Unseelies came from, and all the different types and species within the Fae realm. He documented it all, or he documented some of it. And he came back. I'm going to skip ahead of a bunch of stuff, but he came back and he was towards the end of his life, and he was very sick. And he was living in Aberfoyle, Scotland. He was bedridden at the time. And I could get into a debate with academics all day long about this, but some say one thing, some say the other. But basically, he laid down, he was bedridden, but before he was sick, he would take daily walks up to this pine tree up above the church in Aberfoyle. And the day he was found dead of a heart attack at the pine tree, he supposedly had taken a walk up there. Well, that's where the fairies are. And it's said that, because he was bedridden, he should have been able to walk up to that tree. So there's that. But it's said that the fairies took him because he wrote about their realm. And he was very mad. They were very mad. 3 weeks after his wife was pregnant at the time when he died. At the baptism, or at the baptism, he was supposed to, he told someone, I'm trying to remember all the pieces, but because it's been a year or so since I looked at
Sorry, I
this.
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. You'll be able to look it up and you'll be like, that's what she's talking about. He went somewhere and he told his cousin at the baptism, I'm going to appear and I need you to throw a dagger over my head to release me from the realm.
Yeah.
And he appeared and his cousin froze.
Yes.
Oh.
So he was stuck. He was stuck there. And there's
one thing. You had
You
one
had
job.
one job.
I know, right? But yeah, so Reverend Robert Kirk is, I'm super fascinated about it. And folks have said that when they go to Aberfoyle and ask about it, nobody will talk about it. And there were a lot of assumptions about that, saying it never really happened. If nobody's willing to talk about it, it never really happened. Well, to me, that sounds like they're scared to talk about it.
Yeah, sounds like cover up.
Yep.
So I think we should all go to Scotland.
Yes.
Done. See?
This is
Let's
a
do it.
great idea.
We're
This
going to
is
do a
phenomenal
documentary
idea.
about it. It's done.
Yes.
I mean, let's leave tomorrow.
Okay. I
I'm
got
in.
nothing
Let's
better
go.
to do. Let's do
Yeah,
it.
Why not? All right. Sure.
Nikki's funding this. Let's go.
Awesome though. Yeah, so I definitely do want to get back there because so many things.
Yeah, just so yeah, where were we at with this? What a whole direction.
Oh, I can go.
Yeah, seriously. All right.
I'm sorry.
Did I tell you about the
No, that's
bloodsucker?
okay.
Did I tell you?
That is what we want to hear about right now.
Beauvancy is the bloodsucker fae. She's one of many, but she's the one that you know the most, or that people will talk about the most. So basically what she is she has the characteristics of a succubus, but what she'll do is she'll go out at night and she will scout out people, whether it's hunters or someone, and the smell of their blood is what draws her to them.
Sure.
She picks someone, she reads their mind and figures out how to seduce them.
Oh,
She'll shape
That's what I do.
I know. I was gonna say, like, this just sounds like Tressa.
right.
Dude.
So Tressa,
Right. I'm sorry, but please don't kill me.
Shut up.
so
On
she
my cover.
shifts into whatever their mind says they want. She seduces them, attacks them, sucks their blood out, and then leaves them to die and is gone by daylight.
Listen, that's a night. Let's go. That sounds like a party.
But so here's another one. Have you ever heard of the ghillie doo?
No.
I have not, no.
This is Scottish too. So the ghillie doo, and this Greg Lawson, he and I have talked about this before. So the ghillie doo is based.
Who are you talking about?
Greg Lawson.
I don't.
No, yeah, it doesn't really ring a bell.
I don't.
Because he and I have talked about hunting Bigfoot, because I can't hunt Bigfoot. I mean, I could, but I probably wouldn't do it as well as everybody else that's more knowledgeable on the subject. But the ghillie doo is very much like Bigfoot. He's reclusive. He's a tree guardian, and he lives in Scotland. He doesn't like humans. He stays away from humans. But it has been known that baby ghillie doo, or very small ghillie doo, because they can be 7, 8, 9 feet tall, very small ghillie doo have helped children who were lost in the forest, which makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me that, like, think about a couple of things I've told you. I've told you about fairies that are like Bigfoot, fairies that are like vampires, fairies that are like shadow people, and angels. So remember in the 13th century when they said it was either fae or witches?
Yeah.
And now we're all the way back to, holy crap, we have examples of things that are fae that really, we think they're one thing and they're really fae.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many instances of that happening. I mean, you even get into things like Nessie, right? Like,
yes.
Like that could be, there's a lot of water-based fairies, there's a lot of that floating around, so who knows?
Absolutely. I mean, it is said that mermaids, I mean, I know people will come after me for this one, but it's said mermaids are fae, because the Finn folk are very similar to the Finn folk. And then we have the Blue Men of the Minch, who are fairies up in Highlands of Scotland that do exactly what mermaids do. They take ships out and they drown sailors. But there's folklore. Like, I thought, okay, Scotland's got this, but nobody else is going to have this. And then I started looking, and in Japan and China, and I'm like, holy crap. And folklore about the fae has been passing down for
eons,
years. Yeah, absolutely. And it's all been oral, because you couldn't write back then. You could draw pictures, but you couldn't write.
Yeah. Well, even if you start to look at it in other cultures too, right? Like there's always things, especially if you look at like indigenous peoples, right? There's always something associated with guarding the wilderness, or, you don't run across this, or here's how you act in this way. And it's not always, credit is not always given to witches, there's some sort of lore that goes worldwide. You can find these myths everywhere,
and they're all very similar. And that's why it's like, we shouldn't be dismissing this stuff.
That reminds me of your favorite example of what Jeff Belanger said about why ghosts exist, because there's a name for it. The fact that there's so much lore. You guys, come on. There's so much lore. Why is there so much lore if it's not? Come on.
Exactly. If you're looking at it, and that's what's so fascinating about the folklore, is when you get, across the world and across natures and across cultures, and they're reporting very similar things, right?
Absolutely.
And exactly like Jeff said, like we were in an asylum, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a way to prove the ghosts are real."
Out, trying to get better, improve yourselves. It's
all right. We weren't committed there.
Oh, this was a different time. Okay,
right. This was a different time where we were just kind of milling about, and he said, "I've got the perfect evidence. Like the word ghost exists. Like if this were not a thing, we wouldn't have a word for it. If it wasn't so universally accepted, and it's in all different languages."
That's what I was going to say. It's in all different languages. So it's crazy.
Yeah. So tell me, because I love the ocean, obviously, I will bring that up every single podcast
You
episode,
do?
and till the end of time, because
You
that's how
like
long
the
we've been
ocean?
doing this. I do. Uh,
Huh.
give me a couple fairies from the ocean. Some
Hmm.
fae from the ocean.
Mermaids.
Mermaids.
Mermaids, blue men on the beach. I mean, there's so many. The Finn folk were very similar to mermaids up in Scotland. I could tell you a scary one if I can remember it.
Hmm.
Do, please.
This guy is. So what's interesting is you may not love the ocean after this. He's called Dinaclavi, and he is the other word or other name he has is the Norse devil, and he is known to what shark fairies. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Yep. Right up my alley.
He's known to cause destruction when he comes on land. If he's in the sea, he's a sea monster. And if he's on land, he's this horrible, terrible creature with like these gross yellow veins and just disgusting. But he will like wreak havoc anywhere he goes. So he'll come on land and he'll kill livestock and he'll plague people and kill plants and everything that he touches, he kills.
Why would he come on land? What's the purpose of him doing that?
Because
he kill.
Yeah, he enjoys doing that.
Oh, listen, I get that. That's
you likes what you like.
Yeah,
It's
I get it.
the mother of the sea is the person that keeps him at bay, but she's around in the summer. So in the summertime, that's when it's very calm and okay. But the wintertime, that's when it gets a little dangerous, a little shaky.
Okay.
Lady.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to look him up. You have to look that up. That's that actually he's going to be in my book, but that chapter's a little ways down.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Now the Kelpie is a water one that I love that story. I don't know if I love that story just based on illustrations that I've seen, because my good gracious, when you start looking at some of these fairy books, like the art is stunning. Brian Froud. What?
Oh, I know. I love. Yeah, the Kelpies are beautiful, horrifying that they'll pull you into the water and drown you. But what's even more terrifying is I counted in just the short amount of time I was researching 15 different versions of Kelpies in different lore. 15 different versions. I don't have the names of them in front of me, but I can send them to you. It is fascinating to me because everything I look at or write about, I was like, holy crap, that this is not I didn't realize this was going to be a fae. I had no idea where this was going to go. And sure enough.
15 different kinds. That over like the globe, like different communities. Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, it's all around the world. I told you the rabbit hole. So I was in Africa and India and China. And what's crazy with folklore is folklore can be as big as a country or it can be as small as a family. So yeah, you can really get lost in it. And that's exactly what I did. Which is, here's something really weird. So, with fairies, like you can get, they can change time and they can control time. So they can.
Time is fake. I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been writing this book for, I don't even know how long, for a couple of years. And every time I think I'm done, I'm not. So are they messing with me?
Yes. Yes.
Tressa, yeah.
All right. Well, here's
you're gonna end up in the fairy realm, and you're gonna be like, "Hey, cousin, throw a dagger at my face," and he'll be like, "What? What's happening?"
I have a proposition.
Okay.
Go ahead. So I'll need you to get the first volume of this out as soon as possible, and then you can just write more volumes.
That's a good
idea. We'll do this because I would like to read this.
Perfect. I will. I have to find. I did a talk. It was in May on the dark side of the Fae, and everybody was like, I just want to pre-order the book. I know you'll get that if I pre-order it. I'm like, oh.
What the world is saying is, get to work, woman. What are you doing?
Let's go. All right, show over. Get back to work.
I absolutely will. It's. I have the whole shell. I mean, I have the talk. I have everything. I just have to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And right after this break, we're going to hear all about shadow people.
Oh, hey, Tressa. Jeni. Oh, I'm just reading my book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader. I'm reading the book too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah. There, I like your shirt. You? I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt too. Oh, that's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com too. They have really great stuff. A whole variety. I know, right? They have everything. Shirts. Tote bags. Clutches. A phone case, I think. It's the best.
Did you hear that I got nominated for an Emmy for that commercial? That's
I
weird
heard
because
that.
it wasn't even on TV, so I don't even know what they're doing with that.
Well,
but I'm never ever gonna ever get rid of that. It's so good. It's
so good, but I also
Quality.
feel like a new commercial should probably
Oh
be
yeah,
created
probably,
at some point.
Yeah, we probably do that.
Yeah, let's just talk about that now. We have a fascinating guest, but let's talk about us a little bit more.
So also, you were kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually kidding. All right. So anyway, another story that I have.
Okay. We're gonna do that. Okay, go ahead.
Well, this is my only encounter with the shadow person, right? And it wasn't even really my encounter because I didn't see it or notice it. But I was in an asylum yet again, same one.
You are always being
enough.
Committed. It's so weird.
It's just,
the same one too.
I like
right?
it there. It's good meals. Yeah. So same one. So we were just kind of wandering around, and it was just myself and another person and our guide. And I'm oblivious to things when I'm inside. Right.
You
I really am indoors. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I walked into a room, and the person I was with called me out and was like, "You need to get out of there now." And apparently he had seen something enter the room after me that looked very much like a shadow person. So that's my personal story on it. But do tell us about the shadow people, because I have a feeling that maybe they might be connected with the Fae. What?
Yeah. Well, I think they're connected. Like we said about the unseelies, shadows. I'm just saying. So my experiences with shadow people started. I was probably 9 or 10. I wasn't very old. Like, this is, yes, Tressa's looking at me like, oh my God, wait. We've already established that I was a weird kid, right? I'm out there listening to Dad's lawnmower. So the way my parents' house, like I said, we lived in Pennsylvania. So the way my parents' house was set up, our basement was finished off. So the living room was down there. They built it. I mean, we lived upstairs, but the basement had a living area. And when you came down the stairs, there was like this center room that had doors into the laundry room and the living room and then the storage room and then the other storage room. So it was just kind of like a room. It's just like a foyer room. So what I would do is I would sit in that room and I would turn off all the lights and I would watch the shadow people. Because
as a normal 10-year-old does.
as you do. And what was interesting to me is I never felt afraid. I sat, it was almost like a bus station. They were all different sizes, but shadow people are, if you've ever seen one, you're in a dark room. It is darker than the dark room.
Right.
Just
that's their whole thing.
It's their whole vibe. That's what they're shooting for.
What? They're just like hanging out, walking around, just like, oh, I got a bus catch.
That's exactly what it looked like. It looked like it was, it looked like a train station. Like they're just moving about, not stopping, not looking, and everything was great. And I would go down there regularly and turn the light off and just watch them. I was being a shadow person because I was watching them.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was great until one day, the entire room felt different. All of a sudden, everything stopped. The room felt different. And at the top of the stairs, there was a sliver of light that came in from the outside that you could see, just enough that came in, not enough that it was illuminated the room, but enough that you could see just that light or that sliver. And when that came over the room, I looked up and there was an enormous shadow on the stairs and it started coming down to me. And as it walked, I was paralyzed, like,
Yeah.
yes, in fear. So I walked, or I knew it was walking towards me. I closed my eyes because, this is the end. This is where it ends. This is what you get for being curious. And
Deep thoughts for a 10-year-old. You're like, curiosity did kill the cat. Oh, man.
Dang it. Wait.
so I closed my eyes. I'm waiting because you don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, my mom threw open the door and flipped on the light and said, "Dinner!" So never happened. I mean, that was my first, not my first interaction, because that was all my interactions, because that happened regularly. It wasn't like a one-off thing. But
Saved by the dinner bell.
Right.
Listen, did you get that?
I've seen them all over. I don't know. I almost thought for a while that they were following me. But I don't know, because my first book is called The Haunted Harlequin, and in there it talks about the shadow man that's at the Harlequin Theater. And I did a lot of different things at the theater, volunteer, whether I was stage managing or running sound or costumes or lights or whatever I was doing 100 different things. And this time I was a stage manager, and there were 6 people in the cast, and they happened to be on the stage performing.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see something on the other side of the stage. And when I looked, so the stage is here, and then there's like a curtain to separate the stage from the backstage.
Yeah.
I would look down the hall to the other side of the stage. And backstage, when there's a show going on, usually they have like blue lights or red lights, so you can at least see, so they don't have a full light on. And I could see the shadow person looking at me.
Nope. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
And other people had seen him there, and numerous times throughout the theater. But the worst time, my experience with him, this guy, was the night we closed a show, and he chased me. I was alone backstage, and he chased me down a ramp. And I thought somebody was messing with me. I could hear how loud they were running behind me. And I thought, sure, somebody was messing with me. And when I turned around to yell, I thought it was my friend Robert, who was one of the managers at the theater. And I turned around to yell, and
Robert.
there was nothing. But
I don't like that at all.
no, and I don't scream much, because normally I mean, if I'm going to look for it, I'm going to look for it, right? But
Yeah.
this, I screamed. I was like, wait a minute. Don't come after me when I don't know you're coming after me.
Right. Exactly. You can be there when I'm expecting it and I'm there for it. Do not come after me. Do not hang out. Do not do the things when I'm just trying to chill out and do my thing.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Right.
This isn't a surprise party.
Yeah, she gets real mad when I try to surprise her, like from around doors, or like standing over when she's sleeping.
When it's my birthday and you're like, surprise.
And I just throw cake at her. She does not.
I like that part, because I really love frosting and it gets
That's
everywhere.
true. Yeah.
But otherwise,
Valid point.
stop.
So, so like some of them that you've experienced are not necessarily malevolent, but some, I know. I just said, I heard it too. Malevolent.
I knew what you meant.
But
I forgot this wasn't Wednesday and I was going to roast you, so it's fine.
And then you'd see my hurt face and feel so sad.
Yeah, for a little bit.
Anywho, but some of them are not. They're either, which is interesting, and also kind of, I feel like maybe a little bit evidence that they do live in the Fae world, right? Because some of them, they're just doing their thing.
They're just watching. They're just doing their thing. Yeah. And I mean, it's known that some fairies or some.
Oh,
I was like,
Where now?
Did you see my head? Anyway, no, I had a conversation with someone that I saw as the expert of all things, not just shadow people, but everything in the world, was Rosemary Ellen Guiley. I loved her.
Yes.
And we were in Michigan, and I said, so shadow people, and I was going to tell her about my basement in the bus stop. Like, I call it the bus stop because everybody's just moving around the train station.
Yeah.
And I said, so shadow people, she said, they're bad. I'm like, whoa, what? No, they're bad. So I'm not going to argue with the queen, because no,
you cannot.
Absolutely
However,
not.
she's wrong, but you cannot.
You know what? That's interesting because I'm classifying them as shadow people. What I saw in my basement, because that's how they look to me. But
Right.
maybe they were fae.
Oh,
Maybe
two
they,
separate things. Yeah. We
Maybe they-
love that on this show, by the way, that not everything has to be just one specific thing.
Everything is
So-
something and also something else.
I
don't
mean, we
know.
all are. Think about it.
Exactly. That's what I'm
We're a
saying.
thought, we're-
I'm a
Right.
jerk and also adorable. It's fine.
See, multi-talented.
I am complicated.
Mhm. We're just coming up right now with the name of Tressa's biography.
Oh my goodness.
Tressa, sometimes I'm one thing, sometimes I'm multiple things.
I love it.
Ugh,
Yeah. Okay. So
Oh.
the
Let me-
fairies and the shadow people, indeed. What about Mothman? Right? Because like,
What?
okay, hang on. All right, I know.
Where did
I
this
know.
come from? What are you
This
doing?
is coming from my brain space. All right. So
Oh, no.
So whenever I see like or hear things about, Mothman, it's winged creature in the sky, red eyes. What do we think? Could we be dealing with a fae there?
That's a good question.
And calm down, everyone. Don't be upset
Yeah,
about it. But it's a question. It's a thought.
it's okay. Yeah, he could be.
All right.
He or she could be.
I'll
They,
take it.
Yeah.
I'm going full alien.
I mean, and that's a thing too.
Right,
Isn't
and
he gray?
aliens.
He's gray and black, right?
Yeah.
Connecting aliens and fae. Like,
Oh, wait. You ready for fae connection?
please.
Goblins are green and gray.
Yes. Right. So I know, and all the stuff with Hopkinsville and the caves
yeah,
and so many
Hopkinsville.
things found in caves, and oh my gosh, are we dealing with maybe some sort of goblin sometimes?
I feel like there's such a movement to make the weird thing that we don't know what it is an alien, but like fae have been around forever, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just go look?
Right? I mean, there's origination theory or origination. Geez. There's origin theories for the fae. I mean, there's theories, but some of them put them back with the Mesolithic, Neolithic people. Like,
Yeah.
that's how far back they go. So,
Right.
I mean, I firmly believe that we're dealing with a lot of fae, a lot of different.
Right. Well, if you look at the ancient alien stuff and some of the evidence that they use to support the theory of ancient aliens is that there are, these pictographs and these carvings or paintings by indigenous peoples, and who says that they're not also dealing with the fae, because at one point in time, I believe that a lot of the fae were worshipped as if they were gods.
They were.
Mhm.
And the Neolithics, and that in that particular theory, in the ancient race theory, the Neolithic people are the ones that drove them underground
Mhm.
because they were afraid of their power.
Right.
So,
Like that's a lot of the folklore and a lot of basis for horror movies too, but a lot of the lore is that they were pushed aside, they were pushed down, and eventually we just sort of lost our connection and sort of forgot how to see them, how to interact with them, and that they were even around.
you want me to tell you something? Wait, what time is it? I was like,
No, tell
before I
us.
start you on this. So another one of the theories, and this is going to circle back around. Another one of the theories, and I don't remember a lot of it off the top of my head, is that the fae originated from Noah, like Noah from the Ark Noah.
Oh, I love this kind of stuff. Do
Okay.
tell. I love
Yeah,
it, love it, love
let's
it.
go.
Danu is a Celtic goddess, right? And she is supposed to be the granddaughter. And it's Noah's son with a J, and I can't remember I can't remember his name. But Danu is supposed to be Noah's child or grandchild, right? So if the fae are products of Danu, who is a product of Noah, and he knew about, God told him about the this ark that he could build after the earth floods, listen, that's magic. You don't just flood an earth and save the world with a freaking ark. Okay, I'm just saying.
A
So,
single
but
boat.
if you think back and you're like, okay, well, Moses parted the seas. That's magic. So there was Fae in here somewhere.
Listen.
It's possible. It's possible. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I'm very into it. I listen, this is the basis of my fascination with the paranormal is the Bible, because the Bible is full of the craziest stuff.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
was all I was allowed to look at or listen to or read when I was a child.
I'm
So
laughing,
like,
but it's sad.
woo, it is.
Can you imagine if we got our hands on the chapters that they didn't let us have?
What is it, like
Right.
the Book of Thomas or something?
Thank you.
Come
Yeah.
on.
Right? What did Thomas have to say? I want to know.
It's gotta be great. He
Right,
sounds like a
seriously?
lawyer. What?
Seriously.
Because King James, I feel like he might have been a little bit of a jerk, and he only kept in certain things that he wanted in
Oh,
there.
are you kidding me? He was the biggest jerk. And also, I think he might have been gay. I don't remember. And that made him like take out all this stuff about women. Like, come on, let's go.
This is all news to me, you guys, because I don't
could be
know
making it
anything
up. I
about
could be talking
anything.
about someone else. I don't know. But the Bible is fascinating.
The Bible.
Let's-
I just want to go down in the, is it 50 miles underneath the Vatican that has all this old things?
Yes.
Mhm.
I'll tell you a story. I'm going to steal someone's story, and I'll totally give him credit for it, and I'm probably going to butcher it. But this is
Yeah,
my
perfect. That's what I love. Do
Like-
it.
I heard this in like 2016 from John Tenney. John Tenney is an amazing storyteller. If you haven't heard, I love him. He told a story about an exorcism, about him being invited to an exorcism. Did you ever hear this story?
No.
Jess is like, I'm ready. Okay,
Let's
so
go.
listen, you're gonna have to have him on to fix it because I'm probably but it's fine.
Noted.
So basically, he was invited to an exorcism that was being presided over by, so that's the right word, by a Catholic priest who was whatever, they pound him on the head and they say, you can do exorcism. What's that called? You're allowed to do it. You're like knighted. You're knighted as an exorcist.
I like this whole imagery that's happening
Yeah,
in my
it's
head about
great.
this, by the way.
I have no idea what you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
but I'm on for the ride. Let's do
Yep.
it.
Pound him on the head. Get him going.
He's in this room, and the he's not the Pope. He's the Catholic priest is preaching and doing his prayers and all this stuff or this exorcism. Well, before they went in, they said it's going to be surreal. But once you walk in that room, you're in the room to stay. You can't leave. Period. End of story. So when you get to the point where it's going to leave, where the spirit is going to be moved out of the person, it's going to feel like a giant pop. Like you're going to feel like you're going to die because everything's just going to pop. So he's like, okay, they're in there, they're praying. And all of a sudden, the person that was being exorcised started speaking Mandarin Chinese.
Oh,
He said the Catholic priest turned, walked to the door. And when you open that door, there's like a bunch of people at your beck and call that will bring you a dinosaur. If you want a dinosaur, they'll bring you whatever you want to help you get through this. So he didn't know what he asked for. He just knew he opened the door. He asked for something. He came back in, continued to pray. Like 45 minutes later, a Buddhist monk comes in and they're praying together over the exorcism. Comes to the point where the room pops, everything happens. Everything's been exorcised and they go to a debrief room. So he sits down with the priest and the priest says, right now is the time to ask any questions you want to ask, because after we leave this room, we can't talk about it. And John's like, how? Why is a Catholic priest preaching with a Buddhist monk? How is this happening? He said, it's all the same. We're all praying to the same. And he's like, do you know how many wars and families are torn apart? We could solve everything. He's like, we can't. So that's the story. And I have never forgotten it. And I'm like, I just think that's the most fascinating thing. And
yes.
all fighting over stupid crap.
Yes,
And-
I will never forget that because, of course, obviously, yes. What?
Yeah.
Well, because I don't care. Like, it's still the same divine.
Right.
Yes.
What you call it, right? So
Yes, 100%. You guys stop fighting, you dum-dums.
thank you,
Seriously.
boys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Mm.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, Gross.
Disgusting. Hey, you know what? We are kind of past time.
Oh,
Nikki.
sorry.
No.
We
That
are
was-
very excited
man.
about this.
We're having the best time. Tell us about stuff that you want to promote.
So I have 2 books on Amazon, as you said. The Haunted Harlequin. It's a theater on Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. All about the ghostly and paranormal experiences that we have there, including what we call the creature, which is an elemental. That's some crazy stuff. And then my second book is Conflicted Reality, which is my paranormal journey. And there are stories in there that Chachi won't admit to having, but he's got them. So shadow people stories and things that he's experienced. Lots of cuss words. But then the next story the next book I'm writing is The Dark Side of the Fae.
Okay. And then you will come back on when you have it out.
Absolutely.
Before that, either way.
Yeah, or before that. That's fine. It feels like it's going to take a minute for you to finish this book because the Fae are messing with your time. It's fine. It's fine. We can all hang out more. It's great.
Totally. Totes.
I'm down.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
It's been
a
the most
delight.
Everybody else!
Stop
having me,
ripping our
y'all.
guests. Oh my gosh.
Great. I love it.
Don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the Paranormal 60 Network. Like, comment, subscribe, and check out our merch on our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. Send us an email or comment. We love hearing from people. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge.